Hi and welcome to DankLord vs Games. My name is Kevin and today we'll be taking a look at a game called Mages of Mystralia. It happened to pop up with a 20% discount on Steam, so I decided to take a leap of faith to see what the game had to offer. But before that, I just want to say thank you to each and everyone who's taken the time to watch my videos. The subscriptions, comments, and even dislikes I get are pushing me to improve my content. Thank you once again, but for now, let's just take a look at the game. Mystralia was once a flourishing kingdom with a royal family that specialized in magic. The kingdom was struck with something called a troll plague, and very few people were spared from death. The royal family passed down the crown to an untrained mage that dabbled in forbidden use of the craft, which ended up completely consuming him. The newly crowned king destroyed everything and everyone in his path, and thus began the age of the marquise, where any use of magic is strictly forbidden. However, once every decade a child is born with magical powers. You happen to be that child. You are Zaya, and it's time for her to become a proper mage. When you were a child, did you ever get thrown into the deep end of the water to properly learn how to swim? Well, that's pretty much her mentor in a nutshell. After basically threatening Zaya with her life, her mentor sets her off on her first journey to find her first spellbook without any actual assistance or proper guidance. If you are familiar with Magicka, you'll probably understand the general concepts of the game quite easily. You're able to create your own spells with the use of modifiers throughout your 4 basic attacks. If you want to turn your fireball into ice or rock boulders, you can. You want to make them bounce off walls and trigger another spell on hit? Why not? Go ahead. Unfortunately, the skills and modifiers are exclusively unlocked alongside the story, which results in the game being linear even with the creative aspects of the core gameplay in mind. Magicka at least lets you combine and do whatever you want straight from the start, where the only limitation is your memory of each combination of spells available. They make it easy by having each spell assigned to a specific key. You modify the abilities through a menu and assign whatever modifier you've happened to unlock. They also include the ability to switch between your custom templates of a spell. Maybe you want a knockback effect on one version of your fireball, but not the next, etc. I finished the game with barely half the modifiers available to me, and I managed to do fine. But I only wish the modifiers were available in some separate game mode where I could do whatever I wanted from the start. What's the point of having everything unlocked by the point I'm finished with the game anyways? Balance felt like a major issue throughout the game. I started off by wishing I could change the difficulty mid-game, then thinking that this game would be great for children that want the action gameplay without the punishment. I didn't even think death was a thing that could happen until later in the game. I died several times during the first few bosses, but it just reset me to wherever I died or fell off, and the fight continued. The game suddenly stops adhering to its own predefined rules in order to iron out the issues with balancing. For instance, the last boss had to be one shot, and if you die, you reset immediately, whereas no other bosses were as punishing. The other fights allowed death maybe 3 or 4 times before actually sending you back to your checkpoint, and there's no indication of how many lives you have either. I think it was a cheap way of making the game seem harder in the end than it actually was. Besides having improper balancing, there were several spelling mistakes that popped out throughout the quite uninteresting dialogue. If you're looking for story, turn away. This game has nothing that's going to please you unless you're very young and into that whole grunting noises made to represent speech thing. If you're looking to be entertained for about 4 hours by pure gameplay, take a look at it. It's hard to recommend this game any further because I personally find it very hard to take a game seriously if you can't have proper words written out in a coherent way, but I can't deny having fun while playing it. I enjoy having fewer mechanics with high polish rather than having it the other way around with multiple shitty mechanics. It reminded me ever so slightly of Zelda, and I appreciate having small challenges scattered throughout the world like in Breath of the Wild with the Shrine of Trials. They were nowhere near as complicated or creative as in Zelda, but it was a decent attempt at the concept. There's also smaller puzzles and chests to find, and the areas you're sent to all have their own unique theme attached to them. Besides being a good example of what the Unity engine is capable of in the right hands, the game really didn't leave any lasting impression on me, good or bad. It was fun while playing, but I did ultimately pick it up for my own gain. The game has been out since March 2017, and I don't expect anyone to give a shit about this review honestly, but the game doesn't deserve to be as unrecognized as it is. Hopefully they learned a lot by making this game and aim to make a much improved sequel that people will remember. I really think that's all I got to say for now, so yeah. Thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any games that you want me to check out, leave a comment about which game and I'll see what I can do. There was construction being done outside my apartment throughout the entire recording. I'm sorry, but it's driving me crazy. I can't focus, so I'm just gonna leave it there and say goodbye. Thank you once, like third time probably by now. Have a good day. Bye.